example of this is a type of mindset that manifests the people who protest saying the billionaires get to pay their fair share. I'm like, their fair share of what? Their own money is like, what's your fair share of something you didn't work for? Hello.
I have a theory that the number of problems you have as a person actually doesn't decrease at all. It's just that
they just change.
Exactly. As you become wealthier, as you become more successful, though you can basically pay your way out of some problems, but new problems emerge.
Yeah. It just depends on like which problems are right for you. Like if you don't want to worry about the small shit and you you dislike the small shit fundamentally, all of that's going to disappear for you. But if you are not mentally capable of dealing with the bigger problems that automatically come with this being at a high level, then that's not for you, and you're actually better off with the small problems than trying to deal with big problems that you don't have the mental bandwidth for, because it's going to destroy you, right? This is not a you're not worthy type of thing. This is a do you want to remain sane, or do you want to like develop ideations that are self-destructive as a result of your sanity vanishing? Like that's what you have to consider. And actually, it's actually funny because not many people actually consider this for themselves, so they don't really understand how money works. And then you have occurrences which are quite shitty. Like, for instance, people saying, oh, hey, it doesn't matter, like, how much government, for instance, spends, right? Because then it's like, okay, it's not my money. Like, no, motherfucker, it's your taxes. So it's like, okay, cool. Nobody understands that. It's like, oh, yeah, it could go there. Oh, that's fine. Oh, what about the aid? Leave the aid in. I'm like, aid for what, though? Like, just, do you ever consider, like, how effective that is? And then it's, like, the same people that give money to charity. It's like, okay, cool. Some charities work. I'm not going to say that all charities are a problem. Some charities I think are generally good. But I think just like with the USAID, where it's like the majority of all this stuff is bullshit. I think, especially with the charities and the foundations. Like, I think most of it's just bullshit. I think there's a very small percentage which is very, very good, and they do quite a lot of work. And that work is very underrated, as a matter of fact. And you will hardly hear of them. You'll only hear of them occasionally because it can, like, raise large sums of money from, like, really influential people. So, like, that is pretty cool. Like, they do a lot of work. But otherwise, it's like the cancer that the institute like supposed to study cancer, but doesn't admit where cancer actually comes from. It's like, well, what is that? Has nobody ever asked? I was like, hey, we're gonna fund the research for like curing cancer. It's like, yes, we already know what prevents cancer from occurring in the first place. You don't have to like work on the cure if you already know how to eliminate the problem. It's like saying, oh wow, I have a problem where I shoot myself in the foot. So now I'm gonna have to figure out different types of unique technologies to come up with a foot guard to prevent the bullet from damaging my foot because I keep shooting myself in the foot. When in reality, you just take away the fucking gun. Right, like people, you know what I mean? Like it's a very intuitive way of thinking, but nobody really thinks about that. It's like, okay, you have the cancer problem, right? Okay, cool. What actually causes it? Is nobody? It's like crickets in the room. They're like, okay, what kind of potential cures do you have? Like, what do you think? Everybody thinks chemo, things this, things that. Okay, cool. Okay, but like, what? How do you like prevent it from happening in the first place? Crickets.
This is very quickly turning into a conversation.
Yes.
Indeed.
Like seriously, it's actually kind of part of the Doge thing, because like when you deal about you think about foundations, you think about charities, you think about aid given, all that kind of stuff. These are just examples of purposeless organizations existing that want like things. They want a piece of a very large pie. They like see the potential money that's out there. It's like, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. It's like it's like you're looking at a gigantic bowl of like candies, and it's like, ooh, piece of candy. But like everybody else is, ooh, piece of candy. And then maybe one guy comes along, is like, ooh, piece of candy, grabs a whole fucking handful. What if 10 other people do the same thing? What if now 15 other people do the same thing? How long do you think it's going to take until the yearly bowl is empty? Like, this is the same problem here. That's why you had like this interesting example that was brought up. It was like in 2019, they like 2.5 trillion was like spent in 2019, whereas like 7 trillion was spent this like I think last year, was it? It's insane. So it's like, what the fuck is that? That's remarkable. So yeah, and then we actually we can debunk a little funny thing here. Do you want to do it? Okay, do you want to debunk that specific take of that one person that we think is kind of, meh?
Yeah, so there's a take in the comments discussing essentially that Doge is arguing that, trickle-down economics works and that there are going to be cost savings that are somehow passed down to average Americans. And I don't think that's actually the argument that's being made here. Pretty sure that the argument is that they're cutting wasteful government spending. And that's kind of the immediate problem that they're dealing with. Over the long term, I mean, a government that operates on a balanced budget could have economic consequences that could be good, could be bad, to the extent that things are subsidized, like costs could go up. But to the extent that there's excessive taxation or regulation that's causing costs to go up, I mean, maybe they could go down. So I think that the assertion, though, that this is, an attempt to force, people to accept trickle-down economics or to say that it works well, I just don't think it's true. I don't think that that's really what's being proposed here.
Right. There's people here with, like, motorcycles. It's insane. Sorry. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, sure. Let's bring him up. By the way, I don't want any international politics takes today. I just want to be specifically focused on the U.S. with this because that's what we're talking about. And no international relations shit. Just like with the regional stuff. That's kind of what we're going to deal with there. Like just what was discussed in the Doge space would be pretty cool.
Welcome.
Hey. Been a while.
Hey gang, yeah, I was at the Doge space. It was phenomenal. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Senator Ernst went through a whole discourse on all the great measures that they're working on cutting, namely redundancy, inefficiencies. They talked about the flaws of U.S. aid, and it was just a very good, positive, feel-good space. And they talked about President Trump's accomplishments. It was really, really positive. Good vibes.
All is good.
That's nice.
So what's the deal with people saying the Jews killed JFK now? Huh?
Yeah, that's wild.
Or RFK as well? Like, I'm just like looking at my timeline right now. I just refreshed it, right? I just got
know. People are going schizo. They're going to do what we're going to do. Anyways, back to the topic of the Doge space.
Let's talk about Doge.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of them getting rid of USA and NED? I think it's amazing, for one.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. As soon as
I agree. I agree with Rand Paul's take on this. Basically, foreign aid is taking money from the poorest people in your country, poorest people from a rich country, and giving it to the poorest people, to the richest people in a poor country. That's foreign aid.
Yeah. I saw this really great take. I forgot who said it. It's a libertarian. That USAID is essentially a way for the U.S. government to do illegal shit overseas without any sort of oversight. Like, Congress does not approve it. The public doesn't approve it. It's just them giving money to a bunch of quote-unquote NGOs, which could be literally a mercenary outfit for all we know, and they go do bad shit. That is what USAID is, right? It's the ability to do whatever you want with government money or taxpayer money without any sort of agreement from the public that they should be doing that. It's a mess, right? They shouldn't be doing stuff like this. And that alone, I think, is a pretty good reason not to have organizations like USAID and so many others. Like, it's not the only one, right? I've looked into a number of these organizations, and they're by far the biggest, and they're definitely the ones getting away with like a lot of the funding of, say, censorship outfits. For instance, USAID is the lead funder of Nina Jankovic, if you guys remember her, the disinformation, DHS disinformation person. They're funding her organization in the UK so that she can promote censorship of Americans. Like that is what they're doing. Yes, so they get away with this stuff, and not anymore, because now we're gonna make them stop. And it's funny, I had this argument yesterday with a friend of mine, and he's on the fence about USAID. He's like, well, if America's using it to get rid of dictatorships and to make the world a safer place, a more pro-America, that'd be great. And I said, have you seen the world lately? Do you think the world likes what America is doing? Do you think the world enjoys USAID? No, it's making everybody into an enemy of the United States. So it's backfiring, even with its own stated mission. It's not good at it because these people are clowns. They're kind of like the CIA guys who tried like 100 times to kill Cuban leader Fidel Castro. It only pissed off the Cubans. It didn't really do anything. It's none of this actually works. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources, and that's how useless this program is. It's only making the world a worse place. If you look at the places USAID has gone to, for instance, Afghanistan, they spent USAID money, right, to promote transgender acceptance. So, I mean, that's Afghanistan. The country's hardly, it's not liberal. And you're trying to force them to accept trans people. Excuse me. None of this works. It's a waste of money, and it pisses people off. And if anything, it made the Taliban more popular than they would have otherwise been if it wasn't for USAID and all of that American money going to gender equality studies teachers in the American University in Kabul. This is how stupid these people are.
Yeah, and what's also crazy is that we've got USAID and NED funding the International Republican Institute, which is a McCain-associated and aligned organization that is actually trying to do foreign policy mostly autonomously from our own deep state, in fact, which is crazy. And right now, they've been trying to negotiate U.S.-Bangladesh foreign policy with the chief executive of the country, Mohammed Yunus. Very interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're kind of like the European Council, right? They're not part of the EU, but they try to act like they're bigger than the EU, right? And the NED is funding organizations that are, for all intents and purposes, a deep state, because they're making deals, backroom deals with these foreign leaders and dignitaries without the sort of like express support of the U.S. government or the president, for that matter. So, yeah, Trump might have some agreement with some president somewhere, and these guys go behind his back and start talking to the opposition leaders of a foreign country, right? This is what they do. They shouldn't be doing stuff like that, and it shouldn't be taxpayer funded. If regular people want to do something like that, it's fine, I suppose, to an extent. Could be illegal, but they should not be using taxpayer dollars for it.
You know what's funny? What the fuck? While the coronavirus was created, of course, as well. Did you know they paid almost $69,000 US to the Battery Dance Corporation in China? And it was specifically, the description was, and I quote, to cover the expenses of dancing to connect workshops in Wuhan.
No,
oh boy,
wow,
literally we're
dead.
putting you on me, and here we go. Holy shit.
Literally dead.
That is incredible. I love that. I can't even be mad at that. Is so terrible and so stupid. I can't even be mad about that. I don't think anyone really can be mad about that. That one's funny.
I did want to talk a little bit to Ian's point about the deep state impact of USAID. I think that might be a little bit overblown. In my experience, it's typically just grifty stuff. I mean, it's like people making shady deals with people that can somehow get them a kickback.
Yes,
more
for
often
the most
than
part.
it's some sort of nefarious, deep NGO operation to try to destabilize a government or something like that. That's far less common than just some kind of grift.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying all of the money is going towards destabilizing the world, right? It's I would say probably 95% of it is grift, right? It's kickbacks and bullshit, right? They're using taxpayer dollars to give themselves money. That alone should be an imprisonable offense, right? There's no question there. It's corruption. But there is that 5% that does go towards destabilizing other countries. Like in Georgia, if you look at the protests that are going on right now to depose the, I would say, neutral government that is neutral to both the U.S. and to Russia. They want to remove it, get rid of it, replace it with some stupid puppet, and she wants to put them in NATO or something, right? Like that's happening. If you actually go to the websites for the organizations that are leading the protests in Georgia, as well as Kazakhstan, by the way, and Slovakia also, you'll find that they are funded by USAID. It literally says on the websites. So it's like America is funding these, quote unquote, color revolutions, right? That these students who are grassroots and I mean, they're incredibly well funded. Even if it's just a few $1 million, it's not that much money because these are relatively cheap countries to spend your money in. You're going to get your money's worth by by paying a few organizers and then they set everything up. That's what's going on in these countries. So you don't need a lot of money. The funny thing about USAID is how inefficient it is. Even as I would say, that as an organization, it should just be toppled because it's extrajudicial or extra governmental. What they're doing is bad for the world. But it's actually funny how inefficient they are because they think that because they have like a budget of some, like their budget is larger than the State Department and the CIA's combined. That's how big it is, right? But they think that if they throw money at it, it's going to be more effective, but it's only about 5% as effective, right? Or 5% as efficient. Imagine if they had, someone like Elon Musk running USAID. Holy shit, the world would be such a different place. Maybe not in a good way if it wasn't Elon Musk, but if they had somebody like that, holy crap. But yeah, as it stands, it's very inefficient. It's a way for people to steal money, of course.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ian. And the fact of the matter is that our government engages in foreign interference with other nations, and then we have the gall to complain when they do it to us. And I just find it a little bit hypocritical. And we have so many of these unknown agencies that fund these left-wing Soros organizations, left-wing Soros-friendly organizations, and yes, even Open Society Foundations, which is allied directly to Soros and is a group of theirs. Rockefeller Institute, the Ford Foundation. We go into the global South countries and we just instigate the people to turn on their governments when they don't, suit our foreign policy or the views of our companies.
Or Bangladesh.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
yeah.
I mean, look, I was even saying at the beginning of letting you two up here, I want to discuss more of the regional stuff and the space in not whatever that is, right? Like I really just want to discuss the space. That's what it's about, the after space. So, like, did you listen to it? What were your guys' key takeaways?
Well, my key takeaway personally is that I can see Elon and the rest of the team, which people when we talk about the team, they think it's just some dudes. It's actually members of Congress and stuff, right, who are working on this. I think it's incredibly good to see this happening. Like for years and years and years, you see other Congress people constantly talking about government waste, and they don't do anything about it, or they don't have like the gumption to create their own committee to do something. Right? It always just sort of languishes and dies. Like I love Rand Paul, but he hasn't really accomplished very much when it comes to cutting government spending because he's one person, right? But with Doge, like holy shit, like they're actually doing something. So prior to Doge being put into power by Trump, everybody thought that it would just sort of languish and then die after like 7 months and not get anything done, right? But from what I can see and from what they are working on, right, this is not going to stop. Like they're only going to stop when they're done, right? They're going to stop in like 16 months or something, when everything is actually fixed and they are saving $2 trillion a year, right? That is the whole plan, and I think they can do it. I mean, listening to the space was great. It's like holy crap, yeah, they're for real. They're for real, and I think the media, like if you look at the responses right now to the space, it's from Vox and AP and all those other people. They're terrified. Like their money's drying up because they're being paid by organizations like USAID, right? So they're upset that Doge is actually doing its job.
By the way, I'm gonna have to also end this. I got a bunch of things I need to do. It's also getting late for people in America who are the ones that are most likely listening to this, of course, because the international organizer, audience, sorry, are like I think about 10-20%. So yeah, I probably want to keep this short. Actually, I think it's just a good note to end on. I think as we're kind of beaten this horse to a certain extent, where it's like almost zombie horse. We don't want zombie horses. I think we discussed this in the past as well. And but yeah, man, it's great. I really like that. It was a great space. I think there will be a few more like it, especially when more results come out. And I mean, they've done a lot of work, even though this whole thing has only been in existence for like a week or so, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, 10 days.
You know, how much has been done within that period of time by then. So great job to these guys, really cleaning stuff up. And I mean, like, you know, for me, I'm a somewhat of an international entity, of course. I think it's important, you know, for me, for instance, like I'm an international, I do live in America, so I think it's important for people to understand what's going on there, because this means like the economics of that country affect everything else on the rest of the planet. So seeing this is actually very good, because that means whatever benefits that country is probably going to benefit anyone else around the world as well. And them cleaning things up and making things better, it's like, yes, finally there's a return to merit. And look, I think many people can agree with the fact that taking, you know, from your own people who are not even the most fortunate and just giving it to like the most fortunate of another country, that's fucking weird, you know? And shutting that down, I think benefits almost everyone, you know, because grifters should not receive any fuel. They should just all frizzle out and not exist anymore. And I mean, hey, man, good job to Elon, man. It's great stuff. And I think in general, the authors are taking over. Things are really good. And think about it this way, you know, neurodivergent characters, there's something very, very fantastic. Like a neurodivergent character is one that has a very large penis, and he has that because that's where his autism is stored. And I'll end it with that. Thank you all for coming today. Probably see you tomorrow. I can't make any promises, but yeah, it was great.
Absolutely unhinged.
See you in a bit.
It's a great space, Adrian. Wonderful.